Hi. So this is Charlie. So I was thinking some about Steve's question in class about, well, how do you read the data in the game? And we came up with a solution in class, but it was one of those things where the moment the class ended, the very second I got the solution, and we kind of had to leave hurriedly then, I suddenly said, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of choices we have here. And so here's a little rewrite of CouchView 01. It's now called CouchView 02, and it's in JsObjects in the data folder. So JsObjects data, CouchView 02. And it's a rewrite of it. And what I've done here is I've changed it so that now let's delete the whole everything. We'll create the database. So we'll come over here. Now we've got the database, but there's nothing in it. And then I'll insert the states as one document, okay? So I come over here, and now here's the states document, and it's one document, but well, it's easier to see it as source. It's one document, but inside of it is an array of all the states, which is a totally valid way to do things in CouchDB, right? So that's one way that you could put a lot of data in there, is to just say, well, this this document called statestock is kind of like a table, because inside of it, it's got an array of records, okay? Now, if you wanted to update any one of those records, you'd have to update the entire document or do something else fancy. But our other alternative is to come over here and we can insert states in bulk. And then when we do that, as you know, we end up with this, although each one's as individual items, right? So each one's an individual item. We still have everything in there, right? We have all the individual items, plus we've got this one here, the state stock, which has them all in one. And then we can come over here and insert the design doc. And then what we can do now is we can simply read the one doc directly, the one where it's a one big document, okay? And then here is it. It's the entire document formatted the same way it was when we inserted the document. This is the same document that we inserted, more or less, with a rev field added in. And just to make sure you're absolutely clear on, I'm saying that it's the same document that you inserted, let's look at the document itself. Here's states.json. I've added one field to it, and I'm using this same document for both the bulk insert and this one. In the bulk insert, we ignore the first field, but in the one insert, when you're inserting one record with all of them in it, then the ID becomes state stock, because it's nice to have a clean, easy to read ID in Futon. It's nice to have state stock rather than one of these funny GUIDs. So I specify the ID for it. Okay. Then if we come back here now, the other thing we can do now, how did we read the one doc? And this is the thing you'll want to do in your game, so this is the most important. In index.jade, we read one doc, it's /read1, and then in Control S, we have /read1, and read1 goes to query controller read1, and query controller read1 just calls the read method, which is already built into Couch, and passes in the name of the document you want to read. It's built into our Couch file, into the Couch file we created. So we simply call read. It's not a bulk read or anything. We're simply saying we want to read one document, and this is the name of the document we want to get out of it. Now, Um, I'll dig into CouchDB, but in just a second. So let's go back to the program now for a second. So that's how we read one. Now, what if you want a view of your document? You want that one document, but you want to get a view of it rather than seeing the whole thing? You want to map it to something else? Well, in this one, I'm calling a view, and we get back, if you look at it, this isn't the entire document. We're getting back the name and the capital field, the name and the capital field, rather than all of the document. Remember, all of the document had the name, the abbreviation, the capital, the most populous city, but this view gives us only a subset of it. So how do we do that? How's that one working? Well, in our Jade file, we're saying we're calling view1doc, okay? And then, actually, all we're doing is calling view1doc. We're not passing that parameter into it. And then in control, we have view1doc, and we do query view, and we choose view1doc, and that one is right up here, view1doc, and it calls view1doc and says the design doc I want is states, and the view that I want is doc states doc. So now at this point, we pretty much have to go into Couch, okay? And what I've done is, to simplify things, rather than have Couch be one, we still have index.js, which brings in Couch the way we did. But instead of having it be one great big file, I've broken it out into its component parts. So here's the part of Couch that has to do with attachments. Here's the one that has to do with bulk. Here's the one that has to do with design. Here's the one that has to do with inserting. Here's the one that has to do with views. So we'll open up the views part, and you'll see that, it's the design doc part we want right now. We'll open up the design doc, and you can see that the design doc has a section on a new section called doc states doc. And here we can see the states doc is, we say if the doc ID equals states doc, okay? If the doc ID equals states doc, then what we want to do is we want that document. And what we do is we create an array, and then we for each over all the data. Remember, this is executing inside of CouchDB. And we for each over all the data, and we push into the array just the name and just the capital. And then we omit the document with the abbreviation as an ID, as a index field, and data, the entire array, comes back to us. So if we wanted to look at that, as you recall, when it comes back, that's what we see. We see, here's the key with the abbreviation of the first field, and then after that, all we get is a series of name, capital pairs. You see, name, capital, name, capital. We're getting each one for the pairs. So you can also do this. So the other piece that you might want, so now you understand how to handle one document. It doesn't matter how you want to do it. If you want to get the one document back in the game, you can either get the entire document, which is read one doc, or get a view of the document, which would be a subset of it, by doing view states doc. What if you wanted to view the bulk document, but as one document? There's no reason why you have to put everything in one document. You can still get back the even though we broke up this guy into a bunch of different fields, we have in here a view. We have in here a view which allows us to get back a portion of the document, or all of the document, or some other subset of the document, depending on what we want to get back. we don't have to, query each field. We query one of these views and it brings back all the rows or some portion of all the rows to us. And then if we want to just view that, then what we do in the program is we can choose. So now view the bulk doc. And now notice I didn't pop up the template. I'm just getting one of the views, the simplest view, the view that only returns back Alabama. And Alaska just returns back the state name. That's the one that looks like this. It just brings back the doc, it just brings back the doc name. Oh, come on, you guys, cut me some slack here. It just brings back the doc name right here, okay? So how do we do that? Well, in index.jade, we say, we want to view bulk, and again, I don't need to pass all these parameters in anymore. I'd taken them out of it. And we call view bulk. And then in view bulk, when it gets called, we call query controller and call the view bulk method. And you can probably guess what it looks like now. And the view bulk method calls view bulk, passes in the name of the design doc and the name of the view that we want. And then it returns back the results of that query. So if this is the way you want to get the data in your game, get the data back this way. You can get it back from either where you put them all into one document or when you break them up as a bulk document. You can get back a single array containing the answers to all of it, regardless of which way you put it in the database. If you put it in the bulk way, it seems like you have more flexibility. If you put it in the one doc way, it seems like it's a little more convenient, a little simpler. So you kind of choose whichever way you want. You've got a lot of flexibility here. And then finally, let's come back over here to the to here, and you can see that we're still able to use the templates if we want them. So how did those views look when you wanted to, if you were doing the couch views? Remember I put them all in this new file called couch views. Well, here are the template ones. I kept talking in class how I'd eventually could factor out this method, and then I just pass in the name of the template, namely the HTML file, and the and that's all we needed to pass into here. And here's the design doc because it's in the query, and here's the view. So we pass in request for that and response to get that. And then the new ones, the shorter ones, view bulk, right? So instead of adding the template in, it's just exactly the same way the templating code was before, but now I'm stripping out the bulk part of it, and I'm stripping out the templating part of it, and all we do is send back the body directly. And the same with OneDoc. We don't do any templating, we just send the body back directly. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say about this particular thing. It's a little longer than some of my videos, but hopefully you've got all the information and you've got the program. The overriding theme here is when Stephen asked the question in class, well, how do I get this data back into my game? He was saying, I understand how it works in the program, which is what I'm giving you the program here, but in the program, I kept templating everything, and that made it seem more complicated, and I wasn't showing you how to just get a single document without involving any views even. And now I've rewritten the program to show you how to insert a single document and to give yourself, and to retrieve it, either the entire document or a view of that document. I've also showed you how to retrieve the bulk document either using templates or just using a view. So with the templates, you get HTML back, but if you just call the view, that new option that we had there, then you just get back the raw JSON, and you could use that in your game. This gives you a huge amount of flexibility. You can see the data any way you want. You can store the data any way you want. All right, I'm done now. Have fun with the final, okay? Thanks.